Mr. Speaker, April 16th marks Emancipation Day in the District of Columbia, when the slaves who lived in the District of Columbia were emancipated. I come to the floor this week to discuss a different kind of emancipation. Today I begin as the nation began, with taxes without representation. If I were to ask you who pays the highest taxes per capita in the United States of America, who would you say? What jurisdiction would you say? New York, Connecticut, Arizona, Texas? It would be the citizens of the nation's capital who support the nation without representation in the Congress of the United States. 650,000 citizens. That's why you see license plates that say taxation without representation. That was not the thought of the government. It was a citizen who came forward to suggest that that should be what was on our license plates. So April 16th, we celebrate or commemorate emancipation every day because we had the distinction of being the first jurisdiction in the United States where the slaves were emancipated 9 months before they were emancipated elsewhere. The irony is we are now the last jurisdiction when citizens of every background do not enjoy equal rights. All other Americans have at least one voting representation and 2 senators. District of Columbia citizens have no vote on this House floor and no senators. All other Americans govern themselves without interference from the Congress. The District of Columbia must abide the nullification of local laws if the Congress sees fit. All other Americans enjoy total control of their own taxpayer funds. The district budget, approved by and raised by district officials, must be approved in this House and in the Senate by people who had nothing to do with raising those funds. All other Americans pass any constitutional local law they see fit. All local laws of the District of Columbia must lay over here in the House to see whether somebody wants to pop up and overturn them, even if they are constitutional. What constitutes the difference between the people I represent and the people my colleagues represent? We do not have statehood rights, and that is what anybody who pays taxes and goes to serve in the armed services for the nation deserves. We seek statehood, the only way to achieve what we have sought and still seek: budget autonomy, legislative autonomy, freedom from interference into our lives by the Congress of the United States. The violation of the first principle, the principle that gave rise to revolution, is taxation without representation. And so, in our country, here we see, and how would you feel if the highest per capita taxes were paid by your citizens and they didn't have the same rights as every other citizen? Almost $12,000 per capita. And the lowest are paid, and I point them out only because they are the lowest, by Mississippi. And their taxes are the lowest. I don't go through all the states because there's not room. But what is your state? New York, $8,737. Compare that to our almost $12,000. That's a large state. California, 10th, $8,162. Compare that to our $12,000 per capita, my friends, per citizen. In our country, when England decided to impose taxation without representation, the colonies decided they would be colonies no more. And they passed a resolution saying no taxes ever have been or can be constitutionally imposed on them by their respective legislatures. Look at this graph. It speaks for itself. It speaks for the residents of the District of Columbia.